Inside a secret U.S. bioweapons lab, a dangerous experiment is quietly underway. Their goal? To create a super soldier, something they could unleash on the battlefields of Iraq to prove America's overwhelming power. And right now, the test subject in front of them looks promising. He hasn't eaten for an entire week, and every injury on his body heals on its own. The man overseeing all this is Harry, an intelligence officer already dreaming about an army of unstoppable warriors. But the lead scientist quickly shatters that fantasy, because the bacteria inside the subject are multiplying at an alarming rate, and there's a high risk it might mutate. Still, Harry needs evidence for his report. He orders a group of soldiers to secure the lab while the doctor draws a sample of the subject's blood. But the moment the needle comes out, the test subject suddenly wakes up and bites straight into the doctor's neck. Chaos erupts. Harry shouts for his men to open fire, and a storm of bullets tears the test subject into a bloody sieve. But the blood sample still has to be collected. Harry steps into the room and picks it up, only for the supposedly dead test subject to come back to life, lunge forward, and clamp its teeth into Harry's thigh. Furious, Harry pulls out his pistol and blows the creature's head apart. After everything that happened, Harry heads straight to the medical room to get his bite wound patched up. Nothing serious, just a quick cleanup. And he has absolutely no idea that he's already infected with the zombie virus. Meanwhile, Officer Milk is out on a date with his girlfriend, Belle. But the moment she sees the teddy bear he brought, she looks downright offended, like he just handed her trash. She calls it childish, and Milk is completely lost, wondering why she's suddenly acting so sarcastic. But at the next table, May sees right through it. She butts in, at the worst possible moment, and bluntly points out that Belle doesn't want some dumb teddy bear. What she wants is a designer handbag. And just like that, the truth's out. Belle drops the act and breaks up with Milk on the spot. May tries to comfort him a little, and that's pretty much how these two end up meeting for the first time. At the same time, Harry finally makes it back to Hong Kong. His ex-girlfriend, Mrs. Cow, comes to pick him up at the airport. And yes, she's also Belle's older sister. The two had broken up earlier because of work, but Mrs. Cow knows all about the Pain-Free Warrior project. Harry's back this time because he needs her help. Mrs. Cow happens to know an expert in this field, and Harry wants her to reach out and ask how to deal with a mutating pathogen. But while Mrs. Cow is making the call, Harry starts feeling off. Really off. The virus inside him is mutating fast. Heat surges through his whole body, his nerves are screaming, and he's barely holding it together. Luckily, Mrs. Cow's handgun lying beside her snaps him back to reality, just enough to keep the monster inside from breaking loose. With nowhere else to go, Harry ends up at a nightclub, hoping to distract himself for a bit. But the place is packed with women who look, let's just say, not quite what he had in mind. After a long search, he finally spots someone who actually looks decent, only to find out she's the girlfriend of a local boss named Jack. Jack isn't about to let anyone steal his woman and walk away smiling. Feeling disrespected, he calls in who's men to teach Harry a lesson. But these guys are nothing but low-level thugs. Harry wipes the floor with them in seconds, sending the whole group scrambling. Seeing this, Jack has no choice but to pull a knife, ready to handle things himself. And after getting humiliated like that, there's no way he's letting this slide. He tells his underling May to round up more people so they can get their revenge. Meanwhile, Harry is in the middle of sealing the deal with Jack's woman when something inside him snaps. The mutation hits all at once. Green blood shoots out of his mouth, and he ends up biting the woman to death right on the spot. Jack and May, still waiting outside, have no idea Harry has turned into a zombie. They're out there acting confident, thinking they're about to take him down easily. Jack even brought weapons this time, and more than 20 guys for backup. But what they don't know is that Harry isn't human anymore. And now, he can take on 10 men at once without breaking a sweat. Just when Jack and his crew are about to get completely wiped out, Milk shows up. He got a call from a concerned citizen reporting a huge brawl, and since all the evidence and witnesses are right there, he arrests everyone on the spot, whose men are thrown into one cell, while Harry gets his own separate room. By now, the virus inside Harry is totally out of control. His whole body is freezing, shaking nonstop. Desperate, he calls over May and straight up steals the guy's clothes. Jack sees his underling getting bullied, but he can't beat Harry, so all he can do is run his mouth from a safe distance. Right then, the police bring in another group, illegal immigrants they just caught, and they toss them into the same cell as Harry. 2 cases solved in one night. So the chief decides to treat the officers to a little barbecue right outside the station. But before they even get a bite, Jack's father-in-law shows up with a whole mob of villagers, demanding Jack's release. The chief absolutely hates dealing with locals who don't understand the law. He can't fight them, and he can't argue with them. So he panics and locks the station doors, hiding inside like it's siege mode. Meanwhile, inside the cell, one of the immigrants says something that nearly makes Harry's head explode. The virus in his body has reached its breaking point. A second later, green blood gushes out of his mouth. Before anyone can react, Harry, now fully mutated, lunges forward and slaughters every single immigrant in the cell within moments. Jack and the others watch the massacre unfold and are terrified out of their minds. They think the steel bars will keep him trapped, but they don't realize Harry isn't human anymore. With zombie strength coursing through him, he grabs the bars and bends the entire cage wide open with his bare hands. The zombies in this story aren't like the usual mindless biters. These ones still keep their human consciousness. Honestly, if it weren't for their hideous appearance, you could almost call them an evolution. Harry wants everyone here to become one of these new humans. The mutation has swollen his body and his ambition. Now he's dreaming of building a zombie army and taking over the world. It doesn't take long before most of the people in the station are bitten and turned. Only a few clever ones manage to slip away, pretending to be zombies to avoid getting torn apart. Meanwhile, outside the police station, Jack's father-in-law is still standing there with a crowd of villagers, refusing to leave until they get their man back. And to make sure the cops can't call for backup, he even ordered his guys to cut the phone lines. A reckless move, one that'll come back to bite everyone later. Inside the station, chaos has already taken over. Harry leads his new zombie pack straight into Milk and the others. Faced with these monsters, the chief panics and orders his officers to open fire immediately. But as we mentioned before, regular handguns don't do a thing to these zombies. The bullets run out fast, the rookies scatter in terror, and the chief himself ends up infected and turned. The police station is already in total chaos, but things get even worse when Mrs. Cow, completely unaware of what's happening, shows up with her sister Belle. Belle wants to apologize to Milk, and since it's late, Mrs. Cow decides to tag along. They do manage to run into Milk, but so do the zombies chasing right behind him. The back door is locked, so the group has no choice but to squeeze into the lockers inside the changing room. The zombies wander around, sniffing the air. One of them even seems to pick up the scent of Mrs. Cow's perfume, but luckily, it doesn't open the locker. Once things go quiet, Milk and his partner slowly crawl out, only to discover a zombie hiding inside one of the lockers. They panic and dump their entire magazines into it. And moments like this prove again that even as zombies, these things still retain their intelligence. When Milk spots a pile of condoms scattered on the floor, he suddenly gets an idea. Meanwhile, Harry is starving. Regular food doesn't do anything for him anymore. That's when the newly turned police chief suddenly remembers the villagers outside. He rolls up the metal gate. The angry villagers assume the cops finally surrendered and charge straight inside, only to become tonight's all-you-can-eat buffet. Every last one of them gets wiped out and turned into zombie snacks. Harry even rewarded Jack by tossing his own woman to him, but Jack just couldn't bring himself to bite her. Even though he was starving, he kept slamming his head against the wall, trying desperately to stay human. He then called May over, telling him to take her and run while he stayed behind to buy them time. And of course, we all know how that turned out. Jack was instantly torn to pieces by the swarm. Meanwhile, Milk, the resident genius, comes up with a brand new idea, filling balloons with gas. If bullets don't work, then why not make their own bombs? While the four are busy preparing their DIY explosives, May arrives with Jack's woman, and unfortunately, a whole trail of zombies right behind them. She's standing too far back and gets grabbed instantly, punched her ticket on the spot. Seeing that the situation is collapsing fast, the others grab the gas balloons and bolt. But Jack's woman proves she's worthy of being Big Brother's girl, using her last breath to ignite the gas tank, taking a whole pack of zombies with her. During all this chaos, another group of zombies breaks out of the police station and heads elsewhere. At this point, the outbreak is completely out of control. Milk and the others manage to take out a bunch of zombies on the road with their bubble bombs. But in the middle of it, Belle gets snatched by Harry, and Milk's colleague also bitten. Knowing he's doomed to turn, he begs them to give him a quick end and locks himself inside a locker. Milk raises his gun, but he just can't pull the trigger. In the end, Mrs. Cow steps forward and ends it for him, clean and decisive. Just as they finish dealing with the last wave, the broadcast suddenly kicks in. Harry announces that if they want Belle to live, Mrs. Cow has to come meet him, alone. With no other choice, the three gear up for a direct confrontation. But before heading out, they raid the police vehicles and grab as many weapons and ammo as they can carry. Armed to the teeth, Milk and the others blast their way through the undead and finally come face to face with Harry. During the standoff, Mrs. Cow offers herself in exchange for Belle. She drops her weapons, slowly removes her clothes, and walks straight toward Harry. Milk, watching from behind, suddenly notices the grenade she's hiding behind her back. He immediately understands what Mrs. Cow intends to do, grabs Belle, and pulls him away. And at the exact moment Harry drops his guard, Mrs. Cow jams the grenade straight into his mouth. With no safety pin, it detonates instantly, taking both of them out in a single blast. Milk and Belle manage to escape the station, where May is already waiting in the car. The second they jump in, May slams the pedal and speeds away. But as they finally put some distance between themselves and the police station, the radio crackles again. The garrison is desperately defending the Cross Harbor Tunnel to keep zombies from entering Hong Kong Island. But new intel reports that at least 3 boatloads of infected have already crossed over by ferry. And then it hits us. Milk and Belle were bitten earlier, and May didn't escape infection either.